Welcome to the Taking Saturn podcast. I'm Boo.
And this is Danny.
What's up, guys?
Chillin'. We coming at you from the 22150 Springfield, Virginia.
Yep.
Most generic name in the world, right?
Yeah.
It's probably the most generic town in America. Springfield, right?
There's Springfield everywhere. Springfield and Arlington, I think.
How many Springfield and Arlingtons are there in every state? Probably every state.
Yeah.
There might be 50 of them.
Simpsons live right down the road.
Right? You know what I mean?
Is that here?
Springfield.
Oh, I thought it was Illinois. All right.
It is, isn't it? Or
I
We
don't know.
still live
Yeah,
in Springfield, right?
Yeah, Springfield to me is Springfield. You're right.
you know what I mean?
Growing up-
Arlington, Texas.
Arlington, Texas. That's right. I grew up here. You grew up here, bro.
Yeah, man.
You grew up. Where did you grow up in Arlington?
Arlington.
I was brought home to the house that my parents currently own from the hospital. They still own that they live in. So Springfield, Virginia. I've been here my whole entire life. I'm a Springfieldian.
That's crazy.
I'm a Sprungfield, straight out of Naughty Springs.
Ravensworth.
Ravensworth.
Yeah. Ravensworth.
That's you.
No, him.
No, I'm not Ravensworth. I'm North Springfield.
Is it? But, okay,
I mean,
no.
it's the same. They're right next to each other.
Yeah.
They both. It's they border Lake Akatank.
Yeah. Lake Akatank. Yeah, that's it.
We coming at you from Lake Akatank. Yo, save lakeakatank.org, bro. They're getting ready to shut it down.
Is it? Are they really?
Well, what they're going to do is they're going to stop maintaining it. So what's going to happen is they're not going to dredge it anymore or some shit, which I don't even really know what that means. But I guess it's like pumping the silt from the dam area and redistributing it somewhere else. And so what happens is if they don't do that, it will fill in the lake at some point.
Oh. Okay.
And so by them dredging it, I guess what we're doing is we're preventing silt and dirt from going downstream to, I guess, other fucking areas. I don't really know, dude, to be honest with you.
That makes sense.
What I'm, all I know is that you ain't going to be able to fish at Lake Akatank anymore. It's going to be strictly putt-putt.
Wow. It's done. So it's done.
I mean, they've already pulled the plug from what I heard, so it'll fill up in the next 7 years. So, unless there's I think they're trying to do the petition now or some shit. I don't know. All I know is I reposted on Facebook, so if you really care, just go to... I'm sure if you Google Lake Akatank, I'm sure something will come up on it. Or Save Lake Akatank.
True.
When you drive around the neighborhood, you'll see signs in people's yards.
Okay.
What does that do for the public, though? I mean, can the public still go out there and have a picnic and all those type of enjoyment, or is it the water is going to really affect the community from?
Well, I think that can't really call it shit like Akatank anymore if there's no water there. That's first. So be like, yo, it's Akatank Park, right? Now they got to change the name. That's one thing I'm assuming, but which isn't a big deal. You know what I mean? They can easily do that. But
Right. Still.
I don't really know what that will do for the ecosystem or whatever type of habitat and shit they got going on there right now.
How many acres is that? Like 20, 30?
No, man, I'm sure it's a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
To go around the lake, it's like 3 miles.
You know they're gonna end up developing that shit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking in my head, I'm in the real estate game, so hopefully they develop it and they turn it into.
Someday.
But that might be a flood zone, though.
It could be.
It will be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you still won't be able to. First off, they'll grade the land accordingly, you know what I mean? And then from there, they'll just start installing sump pumps and they'll just do what they need to do.
Oh no, they might be like
Here's the deal,
what just
though.
happened.
If there's like a watershed to like the Chesapeake Bay or some shit, you know what I mean, in some form, then it'll probably be affected. You know what I mean? They probably may not necessarily be able to develop on it.
There's a lot of water that comes through there, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of water come through there, man.
Yeah.
So to dry it out or what? I don't know, man. That's.
Well, from my understanding, Lake Akatank is kind of man-made back in like the 40s or some shit.
I heard that too. I grew up around it.
So
Yeah, because they put a dam there.
Yeah, they put a dam there, but I think they also dug out and like made it a lake.
Okay, so in that
I'm
case,
sure it was like a creek before
Yeah.
or something.
You have to, or you just like flood the whole area.
but here's the thing: if you rebuild on it, it doesn't matter how much you have to bring it at high elevation. If there's a dam there that actually gave access to
No,
To feed it at one point.
That's a valley in there.
It's yeah.
It's a dam and it just fills up. That's what it is. It's not. They didn't bring that shit. It's just a valley.
So
If you think about it.
Yeah.
About that big ass hill on both sides.
that's why you can't build. Because that right down the street from your parents' house, Hemming Road or whatever it is always isn't it always flooded when it heavily rains? You can't really get through.
No, not really. Because Lake Akatank sits lower than Hemming Road does. You know, it sits lower. Essentially, you walk up a little bit, but then you take a really deep walk down to get to the bottom of the hill to go to the actual lake at Lake Akatank, right? You know, where you park your cars compared to where you actually go to the lake, it's a pretty fucking steep-ass walk.
Yeah.
No, but right where that curve is, where the entrance is, because David and Mike used to live back there, and many times every time it rained, they have to park over there, and he had to swim across. Yeah, dude, across the road, because it's flooded right there, right where that.
I could see that.
What?
Yeah,
Swim
man.
across.
Yes, bro.
That could happen.
Why would because they live back there. They live right at as soon as Hemingway goes, it comes to a dead end all the way back.
Dude, that's bullshit. I don't believe it.
Okay.
Maybe
No.
you had to just wait.
No?
It can't be. It's impossible. Because the basketball court is so much higher elevation-wise.
Dude, right at where that dip where he talks about, dude, right when you come down, there's a park up that comes to the park, and then there's a little dip that you come to turn. There's a big house right there, that one big house at the corner, and there's a big gap. There's like a small dip right there, in the corner on the bend. If you know that road very well, yeah, right.
I know what you're talking about. That one big red brick colonial home that has like 2 entrances.
He said that one always if every time when the last.
But to swim across and get out of your car, it's never been like that.
Well, maybe not swim, but I know he said he couldn't drive his car on the other.
No, that's ridiculous. I don't believe that. But whatever. Anyways, are we gonna talk geology? What are we doing here?
It don't matter. We're talking about Springfield, man. Remember, it's Springfield.
Yeah, we grew up here.
That's true.
Springfield.
True.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
It
Yeah.
was in the 80s, man. Springfield was the skate scene.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yes.
It was.
Springfield was the spot.
We got local
Bitches.
skater here, Zach.
Yep.
Zach Pikery.
Piker.
Zach Piker.
Did he just give you that
What
name?
is it?
Pikerman.
It's Pikerman?
Pikerman.
No, it's
P-I-Y-K-E-R.
Pikerman.
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We got Zach here. Local skater legend.
Local pro skater, right?
Local pro skater legend.
Local pro skater legend.
That's right, Zach
No,
Pikeman.
those days are long lost.
Now he's local pro coach,
Decent
skater.
football guy.
He's a local pro coach, skater, and
Dad.
ramp developer.
Awesome.
All around.
All around.
Ramp,
Helper of the develop.
ramp.
A builder of the
He's a ramp apprentice.
Yeah, man. Check it out. Check him out. Check his workout.
Ramp tech.
You're following my kid if you go there. but
Ramp tech all
I-
day.
I'm the one that handles everything.
Yeah, man.
There
You got a website?
What's your?
Instagram's the thing, Pikerman.
Where is it?
On Instagram, it's Pikerman.
Instagram.
Spell it out for us, Zach. A little bit louder so they can hear you.
P-I-Y-K-E-R. Pikerman.
One more time.
P-I-Y-K-E-R. Man.
Yeah.
Man.
We
All
follow.
one word.
All one word. If you want to see some intense skating, if you want to see some
Intense
unreal,
coaching.
It's all my
Coaching.
10-year-old
Unreal
who's
coaching.
overall way
if
better
you want to
than
see one of
me
the
now.
sickest 10-year-olds you've ever seen on a deck, and I'm talking about skateboarding here,
Street, vert, bowl, he skates everything.
everything.
Piker Man.
I've known Aaron since he was
basically
maybe 4 years old, and he's the most.
Mine.
He's a very interesting boy, unbelievable kid, very athletic, super strong. He's got that monkey strength. I seen him climbing trees and whatnot. Unbelievable skater. So if you want to see someone who's gonna be at the next X game, or not next X Games, but X
Potential, yeah.
Games, hopefully in like the next 10 years, then
Check this kid out.
follow this kid, and I'm sure something positive will come out of him.
He won't disappoint you.
For sure. I mean, as of right now, his videos are exciting. So, I can only imagine what's to come.
Yeah. For the many years to come. Cool,
So,
man.
Well, I
Thank you,
guess-
Zach. It's cool, man.
Thanks for putting his name out there.
My bad. I didn't mean to do that.
Huh? No.
Oh, okay, all right.
We like followers.
So, but yeah, I guess. What do you guys? You guys.
All right, man. What else, man? You know what?
You know what?
I
know what we could talk about. We should talk about drummers.
You read my mind, dude. You read my mind.
Nice.
You read my mind. So
Nice. Especially you guys, guitarists, bassists. I'm sure you guys have.
Because I'm looking around the room, I don't see a drummer here, and we've got multiple drummers come in and out. I've learned a lot from all of our drummers. All of them have been really talented. I didn't actually have a good sense of rhythm. I mean, I kind of did, but I didn't understand how technical rhythm really was until I played with drummers, like real drummers. Like, you know what I mean? So it was unbelievable. It made me a much better musician.
yeah.
But, yeah, so...
I mean, but what fascinates you with drumming, though? I mean, I know as a bass player, and
Well, look. My father, he is an Arabic drummer. So all my life I grew up kind of playing hand drums, derbeke. I guess you guys know them as the djembes. We call them def. You guys know them maybe as tambourines. So there's multiple instruments. Even till this day, when I go to do Arabic weddings from time to time, we'll bring in different, the bride and the groom doing a different type of Arabic ceremony where, over in Lebanon they do it through the streets and whatnot the original way. But when we do it here, they just do it from the lobby of the hotel, and we just kind of play a special kind of beat, and it's a special tambourines and derbekes. They also have they got another one called table, which is a really big drum. I guess it's kind of the one that you see in the marching band, but not so bass drummy looking. Looks more, I guess cultural or African or something. I don't know. Something more tribal looking, I guess is the best way to put it,
It's nice to mess with those tablas.
Yeah.
Tablas, right?
Well, there's the Rebecca, that's the one you see with the belly dancing,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Where it have the pops and the different high pitched sounds.
I'm talking about the metal one, and then the kind of cone shaped one, and you put your palm on the metal.
The cone shaped one is that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Well, some people refer to them as doubles as well. But the thing is though, is that traditionally they're actually derbekas. That's really what they are. Double is the bigger one that you play with the fucking mallet and the little other hand joint. So when we go to play the wedding joint, that's what my father would play. My father would play the double, and I would play a def, and then my uncle would play the derbeke, and then we would just rock it. That was for the ceremonial things. But anyways, my point is that I grew up kind of playing hand drums and stuff like that. I didn't really have the respect for real drums until I played with a real drummer in a band. And with Stan, when I worked with him a lot, we would work together sometimes, before practice would start in the basement, and we would have our quiet practices. So I would work with him, and I just learned a lot from rhythmatic things, that I didn't really understand. I mean, I never even really understood that Dream Theater was playing in 7/8 and shit like that. I didn't understand what even odd timing was until Stan introduced that to me. But So I've learned a lot. I've also, but like, it's just the thing is but the thing is I've also like, I don't know what the best way to say it is. Maybe I've had a looser way of playing my whole life. And so sometimes I kind of run into like a little bit of difficulty when I have to be tied into like some kind of time signature. I mean, I guess the ultimate thing though is that, as a good musician, you need to be able to cut it into a time signature. Otherwise, if you don't, there's no really standard to base your music on. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So you can be a great guitar player and not be able to play to a metronome, but ultimately, if you can't play to a metronome, you can't play with other people. So the only thing that you can ever do is just go out and just be like
your own
self, like, look at me, man, I can just play awesome by myself.
But then you can only go so far because your timing will be always off, because therefore you can never have a metronome to play with or any click track to play with, because you know why? Your timing is off.
Well, that's not true, because I can sit on my loop station pedal and I can fucking lay out a loop that's not perfectly in time, and then I can continuously keep looping on that loop, and as long as I'm staying within that loop's like, the loop's timing that it has, then as long as I'm being a conscientious musician from that point and I'm really paying attention to what I'm doing, then I can stay in time with that, with it. You get what I'm saying? Now, can I record something and not quantize it at all, right? And then expect another person on stage to keep playing along with it and keep up with the loop after loop, like a drummer play a standard beat? No, you're right. It's not going to work. It's going to fall apart. But as a conscientious musician, if you sit there and you just pay attention to what you're playing and you're like actually listening to the loop, you're not thinking like, I'm going to stay in 4/4, I don't give a fuck. If you're more of like, I'm just going to literally go to that, you can hang. Now, is it going to be like perfect? No, but I think 90% of people who listen to music listen to it and still think it sounds good. Yeah, I think so. I think that there's going to be a fine 10% of musicians, just like there's like that 2% of people who have perfect pitch in the world, who are like, I have a problem sometimes when I go listen to the symphony because, you know what I mean, the violin's out of tune. It's like, oh wow, what a problem to have.
Right.
Poor
Mm-hmm.
you. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck
Okay.
out of here kind of mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that means that you're so technical that you can't look beyond something like that. Like, you can't appreciate someone's talent because you're looking at his instrument wasn't tuned correctly before he started, which has nothing to do with his playability factor, has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that he's at some standard tuning that you trained your ear to also be a standard in your life. Because it's like perfect pitch isn't the same, I guess I don't know, I could be wrong. I mean, I guess in Arabic music we have a lot of notes. We have a lot of the same notes, we play the same keyboards. However, there are certain notes in the Arabic world that are not in the English world, and those notes would be, actually I don't know what they're called, the notes themselves, but they're called quarter tone notes, which is why, like, if you look at the guitars in the Arabic world, or odes, like the lute, it doesn't have frets, and that's because there's a note that you can hit that's called the quarter tone. So you have your half step tones in American music, right? So you got your whole steps and your half steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Arabic music, there's also an additional quarter step, so it's in between that half step, and you know what I mean? You can't hit that on a fretted instrument, but you can hit it on fretless instruments,
Oh yeah, that's in between.
right?
Right, makes sense.
So this is the thing. So there's actually notes though. I think they call the one that's called like B-moll or some shit like that. That's one of the
Really?
actual notes. And if you look at my Stratocaster that I have, I actually have it quarter tone. I have it fretted quarter tone. There's certain places you can put the bar frets to make it have quarter tone. And my dad had this amazing dude up the street who lived for me. He was like my uncle. His name was Hagob. He was an unbelievable smart man, very kind. He was one of the dudes that actually started the he was like the first dude to actually install and monitor and service the first like real what are they called? What are they, like, the sanitary machines that they use for like surgeries and shit in hospitals? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was like the first dude to really kind of like maintain those in like Lebanon or some shit like that.
Yes.
And he also was very like helped out a lot of orphanages and shit like that. From my understanding, he was a super kind guy. But this guy was a genius, dude. I mean, he used to even build guns in his basement, in his garage, with silencers and shit. I mean, he was putting together all kinds of crazy shit.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable. But so he modded my guitar for me. This guy has no like he didn't play any instruments from my knowledge, but he modded my guitar. That's how like much of a fucking genius this dude was. Like, I didn't know exactly where to put the measurements. How did this guy even find out to like where to put the frets, or to where to like the degree, how much the distance had I don't know, you know? I'm thinking about that shit now. I sanded my guitar down and it fucking did a shitty ass sanded job, and I play guitar.
Yeah.
I tried to scallop my fretboard and I probably fucked it up more than anything. And you know what I'm saying? And I've been playing guitar for fucking more than 10 years, 15 years, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyways, you know, I guess.
But is that why that more Arabic beats or drumming beats are more a little bit more complex to do? I think than a regular, like, I think even more challenging than African rhythm. You understand? You know what I mean? Right. African rhythm is very drumming rhythm is very intense.
I don't know if it's so much intense, because here's the thing. I mean, it is. There are lots of
high energy.
Points. Of
high
course,
energy,
yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying with the Derbeke, especially like when you listen to the belly dancing stuff. But I guess the one thing that you have to also consider is that most bands have like 3 or 4 people playing hand drums in like African music, Arabic music. There's normally a bunch of people playing the drums. It's not like in American music where you have one dude behind a drum kit.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
In my dad's band, even, we had a drummer like behind a drum kit, and my dad and his brother playing the Arabic drums to make it full and sound professional, you know. And that's how it is when you look on stage at all the shows. They always have like 3-4 drummers, and then, you know what I mean, one full kit.
Yeah.
To fill in.
So like going back to what you're saying, is it more complex? I mean, yeah, it's more complex because you have like it's like, you know, it's like layering your guitar tracks.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I were to layer my guitar tracks with like 4 or 5 tracks, you would be like,
That's
holy
why
shit.
Prince had Sheila E.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Right.
So it's like, you know, it just sounds like out of this world, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. Coming from like this drum kind of background, I've also kind of come to the realization that like even my dad, you know what I'm saying, who's been playing drums all of his life, I've also realized like even for him, sometimes like I don't know if like when he's playing drums, he has the like 4/4 or any of that shit in his mind at all. Literally, I think my dad just goes off of feel. I think when you bring into the technical aspects like playing 7/8 or any shit like that, I think that like it would be such a hard thing for like someone like my dad or like my uncles to like comprehend or absorb.
Like adjust to.
Right. Can they
Yeah.
play like off beats and stuff? Like they can jump in and out of different time signatures and stuff like that, because they're connecting all different kinds when they're playing, because the music in Arabic shows is like non-stop. It's not like there's stop, we're gonna go into a different key. I've come to the realization that like when we would go out there and play shows and I would be playing guitar, everything was just like in the key of this, and you'd be in that key for like the next like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and all the beats are like ding, 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 ding.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, so it's like, you know, it's like funk. It's like funk guitar.
Right,
you know,
it's like funk.
Arabic guitar, if you're not soloing or like doing like that, in like standing out,
Yeah.
you're playing funk.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing pure rhythm,
Of
and
course.
that's basically what it is, man. I mean, you know,
I think that's you know what, but for you to say that, I mean, and then you know, playing a lot of having 2 brothers that actually are you know very well good drummers, you know, very well good, and from that aspect it's
what up, Sam? Hope you listening, dog. All right, Zach. Take care.
all right, man. Zach, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for
dude.
stopping by the
Hey,
neighborhood.
man, but Yep.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right, Mr. Skater Zach.
All right.
Yeah, brother.
Where were we again?
We're gonna take you. Oh,
What were we talking about?
we were talking about well, the different type of beats. I mean, he was talking about the different types
Arabic.
of
Yeah.
Arabic rhythms that he plays with his dad, and depending on what he uses and things like that. And you're saying for you to say that,
Asian rhythm is almost very similar.
right.
In a very, it's and then also Spanish music has that type of drumming. You understand that that's very, that keeps rolling.
Well, certain ones, I mean, obviously, reggaeton has a certain style of beats. There's certain kinds of beats, but when you look across Arabic music, it's like majority of it, whether it's like basically, it's almost hard for me to even find like a style of Arabic music that doesn't have.
That is slow.
Not slow. There are some slow stuff, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's not slow, but yeah, majority of it is pretty upbeat. Majority of it is got multiple drums. Even when it's slow, it's just kind of slower drumming. But like, there's different forms. Like for instance, you got the music from like the Saudi Arabian styles, which is Khalije, which is like, the beat starts off. It's like doom 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 doom. Versus like, the Lebanese and Arabic, Jordanian stuff, which is like doom 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 doom.
Oh, okay.
Belly dancing is like
Yeah. So they can move the hip, right?
and then the dude's kind of like doing the play like so like, and then the girl's kind of doing off of the belly dancing beat. The belly dancing beat is kind of like a solo for the drummer as much as it is. It would be like if someone was like dancing for a guitar solo. You know what I'm saying?
Improvising?
Yeah, it's like, well, not improvising, but there's certain hits. So when the person's doing a certain hit, she's doing a certain hit with her body as well. Side to side, like and that's when you see the girl just like wobbling her fucking hips like crazy. You know what I'm saying? But
cool.
But like, when I look at like Spanish music, for instance, it's like in salsa music and like those kind of upbeat stuff. Yeah, it's like the same similarities. Things that have congos.
Okay.
And things like that. Some of the Dominican styles of musics. Bachata. You know what I mean? Like anything that kind of has like
But all those are mostly in 4/4 signature, right? Pretty much.
I'm gonna say pretty much like 99% of it is.
Okay.
I can't think of a progressive bachata beat.
Here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing.
A 7/8 at least.
About a drummer, like you were talking about your dad, how when you throw that 7/8 or the 3/4, to him.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's
not 3/4. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know about 3/4. I think it's more of like the shit like 5/4.
Okay, but here's the thing.
You see what I'm saying? That's the shit that would throw them off.
But the
or
thing
7/8.
But they play the 4/4 so well. It's so natural that it doesn't matter what style they're always locked in because it's one of them. It's one of them adjustment that's all they know and that's what they're good at. When you give them the 5/4, it becomes complex and they don't want to comprehend it because you know why? They don't want that headache because everything that they do. That to make themselves enjoyable and make their work, it's all in 4/4. So
well, the thing is like people don't go to weddings to sit down and watch people play progressive music. People go to weddings because they're partaking in a party. So all they want to hear is dance songs.
Exactly, that's why.
So like no
4/4.
dance song comes out in 3/4. 5/4 or some shit.
That's why he doesn't care. So then when you give him that headache, he say whatever, man, because this works.
Yeah.
He knows this works.
Like odd time signatures obviously aren't going to work in Arabic music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, maybe they might, but as of right now, I mean, I'm not I'm not in the scene. Maybe there's a heavy metal band in Lebanon that I'm not aware of that I'm just kind of like glossing over. But at this point, I'm not aware of any band. You know what I mean? I'm not aware of any music that's generally like that. None of the legends, none of the greats have songs that are like that.
You can't
True.
go up to him and be like, play some Rush.
No, I mean,
You can't go up to the DJ and be like, hey man, play some Rush. He'll be like,
Yeah.
What's
You
the
know what I
biggest
mean?
Arabic band? I mean, there's no
I mean, there's many. I mean, you know,
Rock
what I mean,
band.
there's many.
Rock band wise, not like rock. I mean, I'm not talking about the guy Caleb or what his name is, Khalib or I'm not guys like him. I mean, those are or but I'm talking about like
Sure.
Well, I think a lot of the
System of a Down,
wasn't
Armenian,
System of a Down and
Armenian, right?
I don't know about System of a Down. I know the dude's Israeli, one of the singer, and then the guitar player is something. But I know that
That gotta be some
was it
type of.
Iron Maiden? I feel like the dudes from Iron Maiden were Lebanese guitar players.
Yep. I think they were.
And you know what's funny to me? It's so interesting. Like when I started playing like rock music, I just naturally was like playing. I hadn't heard of Iron Maiden like till later on, and so like when I was playing guitar, it was funny to me that like some of the shit I was playing, I'd be like, oh, this sounds cool. And then I would like hear like Iron Maiden later, and I'm like, whoa, man, that sounds like some shit I probably wrote when I was like in the 7th grade, 8th grade, when I first like got my first distortion pedal. You know what I mean? Because I learned a lot of Arabic music. At first, when I grew up, I learned playing this guy. His name was Omar Khurshid, and he's like a really awesome guitar player. But he was the dude who introduced like guitar kind of to the Arab world.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically just took a lot of the great songs, like a lot of the good people's music, a lot of like the divas and the fucking, I guess like Frank Sinatra, like with the Frank Sinatra or like the, Diana Ross songs, like the Aretha Franklin's, like the, heavy hitters of the Arabic world. He took like their songs and basically,
converted to his own.
Yeah, no, he didn't convert it into his own. He just basically played them in guitar because they didn't have guitar on them to begin with, and like they didn't have keyboards either. So when he released a lot of his music, he released it with keyboards and guitar because people back in the day were playing with like accordions.
Mm-hmm.
So the first dude that played with him was this guy named Majdi Hosseini, who like introduced keyboards to the Arab world pretty much, or at least made it famous.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually played with this dude in America. He came here and I played with him. So I played with like, it would be like saying like, yo, bro, I love Hendrix. He's my idol. And I got to play with Mitch Mitchell's.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I got to play with this dude who was like, not my idol, but, because I don't idolize people. But like, I got to play with some dude who was like fucking, had such a massive impact on me. I got to play with his bandmate. So I got to almost like step in his shoes. And he was like, wow, like he came over and like shook my dad's hand and was like, oh, he's like, good, your son's good. I was young. I was like 6th or 7th grade when this shit happened. So like, it was a fun time, man.
That's awesome.
Oh, and another time he came to America to play again with my dad, and they played, because this dude's from Egypt. But he came to America to play at some massive festival like in Manassas or I don't fucking know where. But like, I also like let him borrow my guitar because I couldn't make it that day, and so I gave them my guitar so they could use my guitar.
Okay, that was cool.
Yep.
Awesome. You've played with a lot of Laos musicians, bands, Boo.
Yeah, it's mine was more. I'm similar to Danny's, wedding band, dance music,
Okay.
So it's
Yeah, but different Laos covers. That
correct.
have
Yeah.
different rhythms. So many covers. I've heard you guys play a lot because you're in Sticky Rice. So tell us about that.
Well, Sticky Rice is a very unique band, man, because they cover everywhere from 80s heavy, 70s rock, 80s rock, 90s, all from Laos and Thai to English. So, and it's
What's the full band's name?
it's the proper name is Tip Khao. It's Sticky Rice Basket.
Sticky Rice.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because of your mix, because you guys are like the massive mixture of all this music. You should be like the combination Sticky Rice Basket.
Combination lo mein, right?
Like the seafood combo rice basket.
Yeah, that's it. So,
I'll take one of them.
but yeah, man, it's as you came out to one of our little gig.
Do you guys serve rice at your shows?
Yeah, man, a lot of rice.
If it wasn't like messed up to do this or like not sacred, it would be cool if you guys could like throw rice at people. But that's just such a like immoral thing probably to do.